I think the camera is working, apparently. Hello, welcome. I'm in a wonderful office, as you can totally see. There's nothing questionable about this backdrop at all. Nothing in the slightest. A few things to go over. You won't be able to speak during this meeting. Your mics have all been forcibly muted by upper management. Don't ask questions because questions lead to pain. You can feel free to ask questions after the meeting or anytime using the meeting chat, using the, I think it's called the chat icon. Yeah, if you press that, you'll be able to talk freely in a chat room. Wow, it's like we're back in AOL days here. In some cases, you probably might have paid for the seminar. In those cases, my statements do not reflect those views or opinions of your company, and nor will they give a shit if they try to report you, if you try to report me during the seminar, because let's be honest, they barely care about you as is. They can't fire an independent contractor. You can try, but it's not going to go over well for you. This meeting is being recorded and stored in accordance with our privacy policy, available at the link in your meeting emails. So let's get this going. So who am I and what gives me the right to shit on your user interface? Well, my name is Mike. I am upper management at Paraply Creative. We've worked with numerous small businesses and large businesses alike, all in the field of UI and UX design, whether it be website design and payment integration or UX consultancy for Sabre Hospitality. We have done quite a bit in the UI and UX fields to create better experiences for the end users, and in some cases the company, but we'll go over that because sometimes good UI isn't good for the user. So let's talk about what makes a good UI. Good UI is going to follow core design principles. It's going to know what your user wants to do. A good UI knows exactly what a user's start, middle, and end goal is. It follows core design principles, not just system-related strategy, but also just general design principles that are present in the real world. A lot of applications really don't do a good job at that, and those ones fall under my shit list. Great UI keeps users in the app for just enough time to complete their task. It makes it as efficient as possible. It's focused on the device it's running on, and it's responsive. It's quick, it's fast. You're not making users wait without any kind of inputs, delay. It's fast, it's in, it's out, it's done. So what makes a shit UI? Shit UI has no intentional user experience flow. It's got no design structure. It steals design frameworks from other platforms, whether that be Material on iOS or Apple Human Interface on Android. It doesn't utilize devices' native frameworks to its advantage, and it wastes screen real estate. A lot of apps these days are doing this. A lot of apps are doing that. So I'm going to show you an image. I thought WebEx had polling, but it doesn't. So thanks, Cisco. $240 a year, and I don't even get that. Let's look at this app. This is a familiar app to a lot of people here. Now, at first glance, is this iOS or is this Android? Now, the general assumption would be, well, this is very clearly Apple Music, and it's very clearly running on an iOS device because look, it's Apple. You're wrong, but it's okay. Apple sucks too. So if you look here, this is actually the Android build of Apple Music. And Apple has done a beautifully shit job at creating an Android app. And I don't know whether the reasoning behind it is to get Android users to switch to iOS, which it's really not going to do, because if I'm spending $6 a month on a music service or $12 a month on a music service, I'm not going to go, oh, my music service looks like shit, time to buy an iPhone. The user's most likely going to go, fuck this, I'm out, I'm going to go get Spotify Premium. It ignores Android's UI trends. It completely ignores the existence of material design in favor of Apple's human interface guidelines. And those human interface guidelines are phenomenal if you're on an iOS device. Problem here being, this is an Android device. Android users are going to follow native Android trends. They're going to follow the same path that they would for an Android device. And while Apple has the hamburger navigation menu in the upper left-hand corner of the display, like other Android apps, the entire rest of the flow feels like an iOS app. And on an Android device, that might be jarring to some users. That might be confusing. It might not sit right. Something might feel wrong. They won't know how to navigate it properly from their first touch point. It's going to be a bad experience overall. It's why I have never seen an Android user willingly say, oh yeah, I use Apple Music. The app really fucking sucks on Android. On iOS, however, it is a wonderful, seamless experience from front to back. It's got the Siri integrations. It's got, what else? It's got music. It's definitely got music. It just works with core OS features. Now, the iOS users who are moving to Android for whatever reason, whether it be I have an iOS device for a phone and an iPad for my tablet, excuse me, it's jarring because rather than using Apple's San Francisco typeface, the typeface that they spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of man hours designing, Apple has opted to use the system default font. Now, on iOS, that font will always be San Francisco or SF Pro. On Android, users have the ability to change that font to whatever they want. So that text in the upper left-hand corner that reads for you can read absolutely anything. It could read in any typeface. If some Android users, I don't fucking understand them, will set their phone to Wingdings, and God help them, but this will display in Wingdings font, no questions asked. And I'm not really sure that was Apple's intention. Exactly. I mean, some users are in their 80s. Let's be honest here. It's some users who are stuck in that age and mindset will probably fuck their phone up. And, if you have a design system in place already, stick to it. If it's a recognizable, reputable design system that everybody knows and everybody loves, stick to it. If it's a design system that's stolen from another operating system and poorly bodged together for another operating system, give up, start over, fuck it, throw it out, you blew it. It's done, it's over, you fucked it good. This is going to apply to this next statement. When you target everybody, you've connected with nobody. And that's what I mean by having targeted design structures. If your design structure is not focused for a user base and you're trying to just target all users ever, your app is going to be less intuitive because you're just expecting the general population to know how your app's going to work. It's a problem, and you're going to suffer through it. You want to design for the user, and you can never, ever, ever expect your user to learn for you. I can safely say that none of you have ever opened your desk drawer and pulled out the Microsoft Office manual. There's a reason they stopped producing them, and it's not because it's too expensive. You have never read the Microsoft Office manual. You have never read the Adobe Photoshop manual front to back. Users will not learn for you. Also, that's a conditional statement. But in most cases, mobile applications, a user who is downloading an app is not going to want to learn some fucking foreign UI trend. You know, I'm looking at you, Adobe. To just use one app. They'll give up, they'll toss your application out the window, they'll say, fuck it, and they'll move on to the next. You have to stick to these common themes. Theft is okay. I mean, no, it's not, but you know what the fuck I mean. Theft is okay when you're using it to build a UI structure that makes sense. Apple's UI trends have been followed throughout not only their user-facing apps and not only their employee apps, but even in their developer tools and even as far as system tools for prototyping. Their design system, when it's used right, falls through perfectly everywhere. And that design system works. Users who use their devices never have to learn. Let's look at an app box. Let's look at an app box. We're gonna stop sharing my screen, and we're gonna look at an Apple box here. Here we go. This is a box for a Mac Mini. You know, very simple. It says Mac Mini on the side. It's got serial numbers and additional details on the bottom. Pop it open. And we have packaging for a Mac Mini, power cable, and this little thin 5 pages documentation. And what's in there? A single sheet of glossy toilet paper. All it does is tell you what each port is, and that's all your user really needs. Because an absolute nobody who's never used a computer in their life might have trouble. Oh my God, I didn't know the sticker was metallic. Fancy. Oh, bear with me. Getting over a hangover. And Apple knows that their user is not going to learn how to use Mac OS as a power user in most cases. Most of the time, people buying Macs are people in their this is a generalization, so don't come after me for this. It's very often old people who don't understand what the fuck they're doing. They just want something they can pull out of a box and plug in and work. And Macs do that beautifully. You do not have to learn how to use a Mac. A Mac will guide you through everything. It knows what a user is going to do. And in that sense, Apple has really good UI. It's just when they transfer it over to other platforms, it doesn't fucking work. That's why they stick to the whole experience from box to product. And in some cases, user experience is from box to purchase to software. The user experience may not just be, here is your software. The user experience may be the entire experience of buying your product, getting your product, opening your product, using your product, maybe even returning the product. The user experience has to go outside of software and follow the user everywhere. You have to know every step of your user's planned action and make it work for them. Now, in the case of an app, that makes sense. All they have to do is download the app. You know it's going to come from the App Store. You might know how they're going to get to the App Store. You might know what link they're going to use. But you have to make sure that you know exactly what your user is doing every step of the way. Because if you don't, they're going to fall somewhere and they might be lost. And you'll have no way of helping them, realistically speaking. Back to the screen here. So let's take a look at a good mobile UI. This This is Stripe. Stripe is one of the world's largest payment companies, processing millions of payments on a daily basis. This doesn't look like an app for a company that is processing millions or even billions of dollars of transactions on a daily basis. It's too simple, right? You'd be wrong. Whether it be a company like us who does a couple $1,000s or even, maybe even the $10,000 mark a year, or it be a company like Discord who's taking hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, this is the same user interface for everybody. It is the same unique front to back, very, very sleek user interface. This user interface has been well to ensure that users always know what to expect. And you'll notice here, I've included two screenshots, one for iOS and one for Android. And you'll notice some major differences between the two here. If you look at the iOS screenshot, you'll notice that it follows Apple's design schemes and design trends. And if you look at the Android screenshot, you'll notice that it's following, material design trends. And there's a very specific reason I included this, because not very many apps do this and do this right. But Stripe has such a simple interface on its mobile dashboard that they've decided to follow the material scheme on Android and the Apple design scheme. I don't think Apple's got an official name for it. The Swift UI, I don't fucking know, that's the development method. I don't fucking know. Apple doesn't pay me enough to care. Yeah, human interface guidelines doesn't sound like a design scheme. It's just guidelines. You'd think Apple would plan that out a lot better. It is, yeah, it is. Apple's human interface guidelines is a needlessly complex name, especially when Swift is just Swift. But you'll notice that each design system is designed specifically for that device, and it just pulls that data from Stripe's APIs. And Stripe is primarily an API company, we'll be honest with that. It's an API for credit card payments. They've got features that don't require an API, but at the end of the day, they're an API for credit cards. And a really good one at that. I don't want to discredit them. So let's look at a side by side here. Now, do you see how Apple dropped the ball? Apple has essentially copy and pasted their human interface from iOS to Android. That's also dependent on the user, technically. Some categories won't show if that user doesn't have those content types in their library. Like if I pull up mine here, tab library, you'll see even on the mobile device, probably not because my screen's so small and I can't stream it to Matt feasibly, that each category only shows if I've got that type of content in my library. That much makes sense. But you will notice that genres are missing. Downloaded music is also missing, but that could be that the user has no downloaded music. The goal with that is to reduce the amount of confusion for users, tapping on downloaded music and going, wait, why is there none here? But it's still not going to give them the points back for having an absolutely abysmal UI. Because comparing it to Stripe on Android, Stripe has somehow beaten Apple design kings at their own game by a long shot. On iOS, they look pretty similar. On Android, Stripe has decided to go, fuck you. We know what we're doing. Let's do this right. Apple has said, Command C exists for a reason, right? Let's just use that. And as a result, Apple Music has, I think, the least installs of any music streaming platform of the major few on Android. I don't have statistics to back me up. That's an estimation, but I can pull them up. Um, Point being, Apple blew it, which is a very rare thing for Apple. Apple very rarely has horrible lapses in judgment. So let's talk about the visuals of UI, because a pretty UI does not equal a good UI. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. Just because your UI looks good doesn't mean it is good. And I probably plan to put some screenshots here, but I'll be honest with you, I was half drunk when I finished slides for this seminar. But when you have a UI that's visually appealing, you sometimes forget to do some of the major steps, including planning out a user's path, or even as far as going to say, you're forgetting what the user needs to do sometimes. I've had people come up to me and ask, is this pretty? Is this good UI? Does this look good? And I look at him and I tell him, John Miller, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, John Miller, but you blew it. There are also times where sometimes bad UI is good UI. And I know that sounds ass backwards. It really is. But there are cases where having intentionally bad user interface creates a better move for business. So I'm going to take a trip. I'm going to go on a vacation. So I may work in the hotel industry and I may advocate against Expedia. So let's go to Expedia. I'm going to go to Coast Cole Harbor, Vancouver by HPA. It is a beautiful hotel, and it's only $184 a night. I'm going to check in on January 4th, check out on January 5th. Travel requirements might change because of COVID, sure. And I was interested in the Coast Cole Harbor. You're right. Let's book it. It's a wonderful property. It's got 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's got a wonderful pool that I am so excited to see. And it's located just beside Canada Place. It's about 2 blocks away. It's pet friendly. They've got a hot tub. Woo! And they've got free Wi-Fi, and it's on Hastings Street. We're not going to talk about Hastings Street. It's not all the way in East Van, but it's getting close to the downtown east side, and that's not a fun part of town. Anyways, let's go look at the room types. We've got a Comfort 2 double room, a Comfort room with 1 king bed, and a Superior 2 double room. So now we're starting to feel a little misled here. You were told it's only $184 a night. And now you're finding out if you only want 1 bed, well, that's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you $194. And if you want a slightly larger room, it's $224. But you have no frame of reference. That 184 price is just the lowest available price. They weren't disclosing that to you. They were just saying that's the lowest available price, without saying that's the lowest available price. The rate is 184. The general assumption from the public is going to be, oh, a room at this hotel is $184. Not, oh, the best room available or the cheapest room available is $184. And then you notice in text that is almost 5 times smaller than the base font, your actual price. Now, I'm not going to fault them for not including tax in the prices. That's somehow a regular thing here in Canada. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they can go, yes, this bottle of Pepsi is only $1.99. And then at the register, you're told, All right, that'll be $227, please, or whatever the fuck tax is these days. It's kind of misleading, but it is what it is, and it's socially acceptable as okay to not include the price of taxes. I will never understand that at all. But it's also including some fees that were never disclosed anywhere. And we're going to find out quickly here as we scroll down the page a bit more, all the way past the reviews, that it's not inclusive of all the fees. Oh, that is my money. So, if I'm now being told after I scrolled past all the Expedia reviews about what a wonderful hotel this is, that it's $100 Canadian per day per stay as deposit. Okay, what the fuck? That's a shocker, but it's only a deposit. I'll get that back. And now I'm being told breakfast, the breakfast that they so prominently advertised on the search, is $20 to $30 a person a morning. So now my $180 a night trip after tax has now become $226 a night after tax. But now we've got to include a $20 to $30 breakfast on top of that. So now we're looking at $251 a stay. And now I've got to park my Honda Civic because it's a piece of shit Honda Civic, and that's going to cost me another $43.55 a night. So this stay has quickly become a $300 stay, but it's okay. I'm bringing my dog. We're going to have a good night. And I have to pay $25 extra for that pet. There was some very small point text. There was some very, very small point text on the left-hand side. Includes taxes and fees. Does it though? The answer is no. But most people aren't going to go down and look that far into that fee page to know, okay, there's our taxes, there's our fees. Okay, so it's really $345 a night. No, they're going to see, oh, it's $184 a night. I've already booked it. Let's go. It's also good to know that the pool that they prominently offered is only open from April to October. So even though that I have booked for January 4th, the pool that they advertised on their website as having a pool during my search isn't available. And yes, I know this is a bit of a rant on Expedia, but Expedia has wonderfully shit UI. It's magical in the sense that it is both the worst user interface I've ever seen and the best. I don't fault hotels for this. Hotels are required contractually to use online travel agencies like Expedia and Booking.com. I fault Expedia fully. Expedia has gone out of their way to hide this information from potential guests at properties. And they've left all the problems up to the property to have to figure out. And that is a massive issue for properties. But who cares? Expedia's already got their 30% commission. We're going to talk a little bit more about effectively using dark paths a bit later on. So why does your UI suck? Let's be honest, there's a lot of common trends that you probably aren't doing, but there's one big thing that you have all failed to do almost immediately. If you're asking things, oh, fucking cut that joke out apparently, you're asking the wrong questions. If you're asking, what looks better, Material or iOS's human interface guidelines, should I go for a clear glass look or a translucent look? Or does it look pretty? Or will my mother find this hard to read? Or, do I like the font? Will app review allow this? What colors should the default avatar be? What color should the app be? Does it look pretty? Should I call my ex? Is it okay to use Material on iOS? Does it look too much like this app or that app? Does it fit on a screen? If you've asked any of those in the first question, you're a moron. And I can almost guarantee all of you when designing user interface have asked that question first. It's never, should I call my ex? Should I make this look pretty? Does this glass look okay on this device? Is it okay to use Material on iOS? You fucked the dog. You have royally fucked your UI from the get-go. Your first question should never be how your UI looks. That's why John Miller dropped the ball so quickly. Your first question should be, what does my user need to accomplish? User interface has two words: user interface. It's not an interface for users. It is not an interface to be used by a user. It is a user interface. User is first in UI for a reason. Everything about your user interface has to be designed for the user first. In some cases, the user might be the business, but your user has to know where they're going and how they're going to get there. They don't know how they're going to get there, and they don't know how they're going to do it. You fucked the dog. Your user is not going to succeed. You need to map out everything your user is going to do. So how do we fix this? We make sure the user is first. So as I said before, I was at the Coast Capital, that's a bank. I was at the Coast Hotel by APA in Vancouver. We're going to take a little trip. We're going to go from Surrey Central Station to the Gastown Steam Clock in downtown Vancouver. You know, the real downtown east side. Yeah, we're going from one slum to another, right? Oh, God. Now, your UI expects users to know where things are. If I ask you how to get to the Gastown Steam Clock, your UI tells me it's in front of the latest scoop. And that's a problem. I don't know where the latest scoop is. I don't even know what the latest scoop is. You need to give direction to your users. And you should always be planning out your UI structure with turn-by-turn directions. You need to know what your users' goals are. If you don't plan out your UI structure, you are misleading and you're confusing your users. Your users need to know from front to back, where am I starting, where am I finishing? And think about how your users will be naturally flowing through your app. So to get from Surrey Central to the Gastown Steam Clock, rather than saying it's in front of the latest scoop, you tell users this. Okay, so to get to the Gastown Steam Clock from Surrey Central Station, what you're going to do is you're going to get on the Expo Line train headed toward Waterfront Station. You're going to ride about 10 to 15 stops and you're going to get off at Waterfront Station. You're going to walk out from the ground level of Waterfront Station, take the escalator up, you're going to go through the fare gates and get to the main entryway. And you're going to pop through the front doors, you're going to turn left, and you're going to go down for about 4 blocks. After 4 blocks, you'll see the steam clock on your right. That's how your UI should be planned out. Every step by step, every turn by turn needs to be thought about first. Not, okay, so I'm going to put the settings menu in the navigation menu. We did it. UI is fixed. No. You need to think about, okay, my user needs to get to his account settings. From the home screen, where is that navigation menu? On iOS, it's probably going to be a ribbon at the bottom of the screen. Some cases, it might be an icon on the upper left-hand corner of the screen. That's going to be up for you to decide what makes more sense for you. Settings should be a primary navigation menu because it's a commonly used item. So you have that settings icon there, and the user taps that settings icon. And that settings icon is going to go through to a settings menu. And you can either position it alphabetically or by use order. Both would make sense. Alphabetically makes more sense, and it's going to be less time for the user to search for what they're needing to do. So account starting set starts with A. So it'd be the second or third thing on the option menu, maybe after accessibility. Can't think of anything else. So probably the second item. Then there's their account settings. Think about your UI as if you were giving a user not a button, but directions to their goal. Let's take a look at Find by John Zhang. This is a really cool app. This app somehow beat Apple to its own native operating system feature. I think it was available on iOS 13 or iOS 14. And using on-device technology and on-device machine learning, it's able to essentially add control finds to real-life situations. This central UI makes so much sense. Easy. The top bar is a search box. That makes sense to users. The blue button is a camera button. That makes sense to users. The flashlight, the settings icon, both make sense to users. The settings menu is designed to follow with users, and the iconography they've used is system native as well. They're using the SF icon sets to make sure that the user can choose a recognizable icon that will follow through them throughout the entire operating system. Stealing UIs isn't completely a crime. I mean, sure, it's copyright infringement if you steal our UI. I'm sending a cease and desist in about 30 seconds. I've got 50 blank ones on my printer ready to go at any given moment. But using UI trends from other portions of the device, following how Apple has their settings menu laid out, following how they have their core operating system structure laid out, following those trends makes sense to users, and you should be doing it. You shouldn't copy and paste the UI for Apple Music one-to-one, is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you should make the UI structure that follows you front to back and makes complete sense. Find follows almost all of Apple's human interface guidelines and gives users a like native experience, and that should be good. That should be your goal too. Your app should feel both unique, but like it's ripping Apple off. It should feel like Apple has made this, but something is off, and that something off should be, wait, this isn't made by Apple. This is my own app. You need to make sure you're leading your users to make the right decisions too. This is a mistake a lot of people make too. Let's look at this login screen. Why doesn't this make sense? Why doesn't it make sense? Well, the thing is users don't have any kind of color coordination. And in some cases, a user might be colorblind and they might not be able to differentiate the foreground blue from the background blue. And we have no primary intentional option. We've also got horrible grammar, but it's okay. I stole this picture from Google. We have login me, sign up, forgot password. All of them are colored the same. All of this is wrong because users do not know from an immediate glance what the right option is. This is the right answer. That's exactly right. Nobody reads. So by not differentiating your options, you are not creating a straightforward flow for users. 90% of your users come into your dashboard, the first thing they're going to be doing, they're going to be logging in their accounts. They're going to enter their username, their email, their password, and they're going to log in. They're going to log in me, please. Signing up, not so much. Not as many users who are coming to the dashboard to log into something are falling through a sales funnel. They've somehow ended up here in a weird turn of events, but giving them the option to sign up if your app has open registration kind of makes sense. And the least used option of the three would be forgot password, because most users will remember their password, and if you're making a new account, you don't need to reset your password. You just need to remember your password or write a password and don't forget it. This is what a good login screen looks like. This is what a login screen of somebody who I'd fire looks like. Don't be like that. Now, sometimes the right decision is for your benefit. It's true. Fucking your users is profitable. It really is. let's go on over to Amazon. I do like me my Amazon, but I think I'm going to cancel my Amazon Prime. Now, Amazon has been ruled that their original way of canceling Prime was too predatory per MasterCard rules. So they had to restructure it to make the cancel button easier to find. But from this screen, originally, users would have to scroll down to, where was it? To customer support at the bottom of the page. And they'd have to open a ticket with customer support asking to cancel their Prime. Now they've used some UI trends to make it a little less incentive for the users who don't read. So I'm going to go to my Prime benefits and my payment settings. Let's do that. Here we can see where my renewal date is, which is 7 days. Fuck. How much it's going to cost me, and if I want to update my membership or not. Now, I'm sure you've noticed this from the Expedia.com incident, but cancel is some of the smallest print on screen, and that's intentional. Of course, it's intentional. Cancel is the smallest option on the screen along with updating your payment method and seeing more plans, because updating your payment method could replace it with a credit card that's going to fail. Updating your plan could result in you switching to a lower tiered plan. The incentive on this page is, or the focus on this page is put more heavily on what you get out of your amazing Prime benefits. You know, free games every month with Prime, which I don't think I've ever used. Or free delivery on millions of items. You can stream TV, you can shop. They want to keep you here on this page, and they want to lead you over to your benefits, not to the cancel button. The 2-day delivery, yeah, the 2-day delivery never actually happens in 2 days. I'm sure a class action lawsuit could be brought up for that. I'm sure of it. I'm just surprised it hasn't yet. But cancel is the smallest option on that menu. Now let's go cancel. This button is only highlighted because I clicked it. But all of these options have little to no color incentive other than the update, cancel, and more button to get you out of that menu, because this is a dangerous menu for you to be in. Once you click this, you will no longer be a Prime member. Amazon doesn't want you to be no longer a Prime member. They want you to be a Prime member for life. Jeffrey Bezos wants your money from day one to day last. If you're not dying on your deathbed giving Jeff Bezos his $7.99 a month, he doesn't want to talk to you. Him and his shaven foreskin of a forehead. So the incentive is drawing users away with color. And these are options that you don't want your user to click. So you want to put it out of the way to make sure that users aren't going to click them. Because when users click them, you fuck them. They fuck you, rather. Now, allowing people to pay should be easy. You know, on Amazon, you can pay and purchase a product with one click. Well, one click of a slide now. Letting them stop should be a problem. Letting them stop giving you money. Oh, I have a notification from Amazon. Speak of the devil. I'll be back. You'll never believe this. The second I mention Amazon, we get a box from them in the mail. Sirius requiring you to call to cancel is actually against MasterCard's subscription mandate. What that means is every transaction they do, charge back for you, baby. You're getting paid to use SiriusXM. This happened to me at a gym. This is a bit of a tangent from the seminar ongoing. The gym wouldn't let me cancel without calling. I sent them 7 emails, they wouldn't respond to them. So I reached out to Visa. Hey Visa, this gym here where I live is not following the subscription mandate. Do you wanna maybe give a little little talk to the gym? Now I don't know any enforcement action that was taken because Visa likes to be very secretive in their ways. What I want to imagine happened was some representative from Visa walked into the gym, placed a gun on the table, and says, "We need to have a talk about your Visa acceptance." Manager's like, "Okay, we'll fix it." And that was it. I was given an email about 2 weeks later from Visa saying, "Please contact your bank to initiate a chargeback and quote our case number on the investigation of this issue." And, you know, this goes into my next point. Letting people stop should be difficult. Now, I'm not talking illegal difficult. I'm not talking unethical difficult. I'm not talking against credit card policy difficult. I'm talking just hide that cancel button away. Just tuck it away in a place that makes sense, but is not an easily accessible place for users. And doing that is a dark path. Well, it's great for a business. The user's going to look at you and they're going to tell you this. They're a dick move. Now, for you, they're inherently the correct path. They're the path that you want your users to take. It's absolutely the right move for you in every sense of the word. The users, it's not. So I'm going to shill here. I'm going to be honest. Let's look at our terminal app. We have mapped everything out in Figma. Every little segment of the application has been pre-designed, but we haven't just designed it. We have also mapped out every single action a user can take. We know the exact flow from start to finish a user is going to do. We know every map, we know every path, everything the user does is mapped out. And a lot of developers do not do this. Figma is free to download, it is free to use, it's free to collaborate with. You need to make sure that you download Figma and you use it, not just to make it look pretty, but to map out how your users are interacting with your software. Because if you're not mapping out your user's flow, you're not thinking about how they're going to use your app. Every path is planned with a user's intent in mind. From here, we needed to know that support was readily accessible from the app. So we added the San Francisco support icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen because everybody knows that those two chat bubbles are pretty reminiscent of Apple's business chat feature, or that it's some form of chat, because that bubble is universally known as speech. 2 speech bubbles must mean I can talk to somebody. Tapping on it, we've emphasized our preferred contact methods using context. You know, some people are going to want to use phones, sure. Some people are going to want to send out some emails, sure. We want users to contact us through Apple Business Chat. We've emphasized how much better it is for the user, and we've let them do it. We've let them have the choice, but we've kind of emphasized that choice and pushed them in the right direction here. And then before the user goes off into a chat session with us, we emphasize key safety and security details to that end user before they can even start a conversation with the team. Because a lot of users don't think before they do. You know, we've seen it in the Stripe Discord server. Some guy will just jump right in and go, "Oh, I have a credit card here. You know, it's 4545 3838 2121 6699. Expiry is 10/22. CVV is 989." And what that fails, and a lot of users don't think before they do that. Automatically, that is a whole PCI nightmare. So we have to warn these users of all these things before they even start that conversation with us. Don't give us a credit card. Don't contact us for a dispute. We can't help you fight it, really. We got nothing. We just let you use your pin pad through our app, and all your data is safe with us. We're gonna stick it in a very secure box in the middle of Utah. I think it's Utah. Is it Utah? No, it's Portland. It's in Portland. Of course, it's in Portland. And we're gonna lock it there. We're not gonna touch it unless we absolutely need to. This UI thought about something, and it wasn't about how it looked. That came second. We thought about the user being first. Everything is user first in that app. And that's what your apps lack to do. That's what your apps are lacking. That's what your apps need to do. A UI that isn't pretty isn't always a UI that's good. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about here is we're going to follow some real world trends. So if the real world trend is left-leaning text in a blue typeface on a white background, and your company is branded after that, go for it. If your company has a core design strategy, you want to incorporate those elements as best as possible, because incorporating those elements is going to help you create a more robust brand identity for your business, and it's going to help your users recognize that this is your app. It's not going to be, what the fuck is this app on my phone for? Oh, it's that credit card thing. Right. That's going to help the user make the experience as intuitive as possible. Now that we've gone through all this, we're going to go back to Search Central, and if you're from there, I pray for your well-being. We've thought about that path now. We now know that you can't just tell a user, you got to start at Surrey Central, you go to Waterfront, clocks around there. It's not, you can't go clocks in front of the latest scoop ice cream place. You can't do that. You now need to know, you need to tell your user, okay, you start from Surrey Central, you ride the rail, Expo line, you get out, walk out the front doors, turn left, steam clock is down that way about 2 blocks. Giving that user direction, whether subtly or express, you need to push them in that direction. You need to make every thought of their journey planned out. And if you don't think about that journey, your app's going to fall flat in its face, because you don't know what your users are doing and your users don't know what you're doing. If you don't know what your users are doing, your users are not going to know what they're doing, and they're going to give up on your app, and they're probably going to go download something else that does the same thing. Because let's be honest, pretty much 90% of the ideas on the App Store have been taken already. We have such a lack of innovation on there, and it is astounding. I'm going to quote a Siri engineer here. Okay. Ouch. You want to think about a problem you want to solve with code, and start writing it and learning the things you need to know how to solve it. This applies everywhere. Think of the problem you want to solve, starting and writing and learning the things you need to know to solve it. This isn't just code. This is with UI. This is with life. Think about what you want to start, write it out, and learn what you need to do to solve it. This applies everywhere. I want you to hold that. Now we're going to call this an end here. I want to thank you all for joining. You will receive an email with a recording of a meeting in your emails that you've registered with. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reply to that email or drop them in the chat now. I am absolutely open to taking UI questions for the next 15 minutes or so. Nobody's got any? No problem. We'll drop it off. We'll call it a day. Have a nice one. I'm going to crack open this box while I wait. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. I know the time zones do be time zones. We're going to call it a night. But have yourselves a good one of those.